Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video I'm going to be showing you guys how to make this top, this milkmaid pattern, but you can add this to a skirt. You can just make it in form of a top, like a crop top or anything you want. So first thing you're going to determine is where you want your top to start. So I want my top to start at 6. So you see my tape is placed at 6, and then I added all my measurements. So my shoulder to my nipple line, which is here. So this is my nipple line. Shoulder to my under bust, which is at 15. So this is my under bust, right? My under bust. Then shoulder to my waist, which is at 17.5 here. And then this is my chest line, which is my armhole line here. So once that is done, the next thing I'm going to do is just to go ahead now and start to insert my measurement. So first I'm going to go up here, and then I'm going to divide my shoulder by 2, which is going to be 8, because my shoulder is 16. So divided by 2 is 8. Mark it here. Also bring it down here, mark it here. After that, I'm going to connect the 2 together to form my armhole, right? And then once it's done, on this same line, I'm going to go ahead and insert my bust divided by 4, which is 42. Divided by 4, mark that here. And then I'm going to also add seam allowance to it, which is like 1 inch of seam allowance. You can do 1.5 depending on you. After that, go ahead and give it a curve for your armhole. And once that is done, the next thing I'm going to do is to come down to my waistline, and then I'm going to do my nipple to nipple divided by 2, which is 4, plus half an inch. Mark it here. Come up to my under bust line, also mark the 4.5 here also. And then I'm going to connect the 2 together and insert my darts. So half an inch on this side, half an inch on this other side. Connect both of them to this my under bust line. And then once that is done, the next thing I'm going to do is to come out 1 inch from this my chest line. Come out 1 inch from this side. So let me go ahead and see what that would be. So it's somewhere here, from here, and then I'm going to mark a bust, my cup coming down from this to my under bust. So just like that. If you want, you can also come up one inch here if you want that pointy part, but I don't want it, so I'm just going to keep mine straight. So from this part here, I'm just going to try to give it a bust curve. It depends on you. You can just like this. I think this would work for me, just like that. And then I've drawn in my curve. If you want, you can use your hand to just sketch it in. I think this would work for me, just like this. This is going to be my cup for my bust, right? So once this is done now, the next thing I'm going to do is just to go ahead and then insert my measurement this way. So I've already added my bust. I'm going to come down to my waist and divide my waist by 4, which is going to give me 9. And then I'm going to go ahead, take this 1 inch of darting that I put here, add it back, and then also add my 1 inch of seam allowance, and then connect it to the I'm going to go ahead and connect it to the my bust. So once it's connected like this is it. So I'm also going to go ahead and add half an inch of sewing allowance here, so that I don't have to add it on my fabric. So it's just so that I don't forget. So half an inch of seam allowance added at the bottom part here. So with this now, I can go ahead and cut. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out all the way down to this point. And if you're looking at it here, you will see that my seam allowances are also added already. So this is my seam allowance here. Like I said, this pattern can be used for your top. It can be like a crop top. It can also be used to attach to a dress. That's why this half an inch is here. You can fold it in with the lining and form a top. You can also extend it and add it to a dress. So let me go ahead now and cut from here all the way out like this. So guys, the next thing, you see I cut out this pattern. So I'm going to cut out this armhole so that I will be able to cut the back panel. So just this armhole part here, just put my scissors like this and cut out this armhole, because my front panel is dependent on this here. So you see, now that I've cut this out, the next thing I'm going to do is just to place it on a folded fabric. You see, this fabric is folded into 2. I'm going to make sure that the fabric has at least 1 inch by the center. This 1 inch is going to serve as my zipper allowance, because remember, there's going to be a zipper at the back, right? So guys, you're going to add 1 inch at the top part here, because we are going to be inserting a sleeve here. So we need to use this 1 inch here to fold the upper part of the top, because remember, we are still going to have a sleeve. So everything from this point now is going to be the same. Once you cut this out, you're going to use this here. So let me mark everywhere that we're going to be cutting out. So this is going to be the back panel. just like this, going into the armhole, and then this side curve is the same, and then the 1 inch for your zipper allowance. All these things are the same for the back panel. So you see the back panel, before you start to cut out the bust for the front panel, use that pattern, put it on a fabric that you folded into 2. Make sure the center has 1 inch, the upper part has 1 inch, the armhole is the same, you've marked it the same, and then the side is the same. You understand? So everything is the same here except these few changes that we made here. So let me go ahead and cut from here all the way out, and then cut this piece out. So guys, the difference now is that my dart for the back, this small dart that we marked here, is going to extend all the way to the chest line at the back. And then another thing I like to do for my back so that my zip will relax better is just to go from the center where the zipper is going to be, and then remove at least 1 inch, 1 inch from that point, mark it, and then blend it into the end of your cloth just like this. It will help my zipper not to bulk up, or the fabric to bulk up at the back where the zip is supposed to be. So I'm going to cut this piece out. So now that is cut off, I'm going to set it aside. Also notch the parts where my dart is going to be, right? So my dart is going to extend all the way from here all the way to this point here, 1/2 inch on this side, 1/2 inch on this other side. This is for the back panel. So I'm going to set it aside. And then the next thing I'm going to do now is to take this pattern now. I'm going to cut this out. So guys, now that is like this, the next thing I'm going to do is to take this here, and then I'm going to trace it out on a paper, and I'm also going to trace this one, sorry, on my fabric. I'm also going to trace this one on my fabric too. So guys, you see, I've gone ahead and cut out this one, but remember this center part of this here, the parts with my cup here, if you notice, I cut this part on a fold, is on a fold. So this part, this upper part here, I just added 1/2 inch at the top here and 0.25 in between here. Not really like seam allowance. I remember the bottom part here already, I added 1/2 inch of sewing it when I cut on my fabric. Remember, we have this 1/2 inch here, and then center here I added 0.25. At the top here I added 1/2 inch. This 1/2 inch is just going to be, I'm just going to fold it like this here and stitch it down to go into this rough ruching of this center part, and then the other half of it here is still going to go into my sleeve, right? And remember, I'm still going to add a dart here. I'm still going to be adding a dart here. Guys, if you want, before you even cut it, you can also fold away this here. That way you don't have to add the darts physically, right? You can just fold away this here before you cut out this particular piece. But I didn't do that, so that means I'm still going to pick my dart and pick my dart on this side all the way to the tip here. So I'm going to go ahead for now. So this is what it looks like. So inside of this is where my ruching will be, all this part here. And I also have to notch the center here so that I will know the center part of this top. You understand? Like half of it where my ruching will start for each side, if that makes any sense. So that I can be able to distribute it evenly on both sides. So I'm going to notch it. So this is the center. I've folded into two now. So I know that this is the center of the top. So I'm going to cut this now. For this part here, what I'm going to do is, you see, I've already ruled 3 lines here. I ruled 1 line and then the second one. So this is going to be divided into 3. So this is my slashing method. So I'm going to just cut it open, and then I'm going to place it on my fabric. And then you can do 2 inches in between. It depends on you, the amount of fabric you want to have in between the ruching. Like for me now, I'm more on the busty side, so I wouldn't want a lot of fabric there. It will just look too big because it will be poking out. So, but it depends on you. And this Akara that I'm working with, Akara has a lot of starch. So the starch plus a lot of fabric, it will not flatter me. And so I'm going to try to reduce the amount of fabric. So the first thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and place this here. And then I'm going to just place all of them. So guys, this is what I'm working with now. I have about 2 inches in between, and then down here I have 1 inch. This 1 inch is just going to be for me to sew this on itself like this, to fold it away. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just connect from this part here, just mark it and then connect it this way all the way to the end, right? just to maintain that same curve. I'm going to be splitting this because it's for the two sides of the bust, right? So I'm going to split it open by the center here all the way to the end. Now the next thing I'm going to do is just to cut from this point. I'm going to leave this part the way it is, but I'm going to go ahead from this point now like this, and I'm going to just cut this out. As you can see, I also left about 0.25 by the end here, and then if you look at the top here, you will see that I have almost 1.5 inches here. This 1.5 is because this part here is going to be folded away inside, and then half an inch will be tucked in, 1 inch will be folded. So like I said, 1.5 is what I left at the top here. So if I fold half an inch first, and then I'm going to flip that 1 inch over. The 1 inch inside is just for the casing of the rope that will be passed through this here, right? And then this 1 inch here is just for my just to be able to fold it, because this is the center part, this is the side. Remember, this is the side of your bust, this is the center of your bust. So let me go ahead and cut this out. So guys, all I cut out was just that corner, and then I'm going to remove this now and set it aside. So guys, the only other part I'm going to be tracing out on a lining just so that I can get a clean look is just this one here. I'm going to trace this out on a lining because I want it to look neat. So now that this is done, you see my top here, this here, all I have to do now is just to take this the way it is. First thing I'm going to do is first pick my dart. After picking my dart, and I'm going to do is to get this here. Like I said, I've already notched this to know where the center is, and this is where my notch is at this point here. So what I'm going to do is take the first one. You see how this curve is? I'm going to take this first one here. First thing you're going to do is come to this end here, the straight part, not the part with the curve. Fold it first and then fold it the second time, just like how you hem the end of your clothes. And once you've done that, the next thing you're going to do is to go to the top. Now you can fold the top. You have to fold the side first before you go to the top part, because if not, you're going to stitch clothes. Like if you do this upper part first and make the casing first, and then you go to sew the side, this straight side for the center, you're going to close up the opening for the rope. You understand? You close up that opening. So once you've done it, the next thing you're going to do is just to take this here now and just ruche it inside here, and make sure that everything on this one here, this one side here, is going to fit in on this side, right? Everything about this one side of the bust is going to fit in before this line. If you want, for me, because I wouldn't want mine to just stop here and then the next one starts immediately, because my fabric is not this fabric is not a lot, right? Like, it's not wide enough. So what I'm going to do is that I might just push it over by half an inch, so that this one again will also overlap it just by half an inch. So they will overlap each other by half an inch, just to give me some coverage by the center, you understand? Instead of just making the two of them end at the same spot, this opening will still be there, because my fabric doesn't have a lot of ruching to it. But if your fabric has a lot of ruching, like you use maybe 3 inches in between your splicing, and your fabric has maybe is light, then you can just stop here and then add the next one next to it. They can be like this. But for me, that my fabric doesn't have enough ruching, I'm going to just overlap it by half an inch on top of each other, just so that it will give me more coverage by the center, you understand? So once that is done, I'm going to bring it back so you guys will see. So guys, this is the back panel. Like I said, all I had to do is just to fold that 1 inch away at the top here, and then I added the darts here. So you see there's a dart here, there's a dart here. So that's all I did for the back, and there are 2 pieces for the back here. So I'm going to set it aside, and then coming to the front, this is what I'm working with. Like I said, if you look at it now, all you have to do is just to finish one side like this. So first you're going to sew this side, and then you're going to fold the top part of it just the way I did here. So this upper part now, I don't have enough fabric to cut the sleeve, enough of this fabric, so I decided to use my black fabric that I have here. So that's what I'm going to be using for the sleeve. So in that case, I also decided to use the rope, the same black as the rope, just to get more of this black in here. So all I have to do is just to take this now and pass it through the upper part of this here. And if you look at it now, you see that this thing here, it's covering by half an inch, right? It overlaps each other by half an inch, this cup part of it. And then also you see that coming to this side here, that half an inch at the top, I didn't sew it up. because it's going to be folded down this way with my lining, right? Because there's still going to be lining joined to this here. So and also you will see that I also darted this part. So first thing I did when I got this was just to go ahead, this body, like this part of it here, was just to first go ahead and put a dart here. Once I put in my dart, the next thing was to get my cup and sew it in here, overlap it on top of the other one, sew it in here, and then you will see that each of them stopped half an inch before the end of this part here, half an inch before the end of this part here. So all I have to do now is just to take it now. I've added my dart on the fabric, I've added my dart on the lining. I'm just going to take it the way it is now, face it towards the front, and then I'm going to just join it together. So join it will look something like this. So I'm going to take it the way it is now, fold it like this, starting from the center, and then I'm going to sew it all the way with using half an inch here, all the way to the top, just like that. The same on this side. So making sure that my darts meet each other, just like this. So sew it down. And once I'm done, I'll overlap it like this and iron it down. And when I get to this upper part here, the reason why I've not closed this up is because I've not added my loop this here. Once I put this in here, I'll just close it up with the lining and close up the upper part. So let me go ahead and do that now. So guys, you see I've gone ahead and put in my lining. So let me turn it around so you see the lining. So I just placed it from here all the way from the top. So I started out at the top part here, use the half an inch, you see the half an inch at the top, closed it up, and then started from this side, sewed it down all the way to this other side, got back up at this top part here again and did the same thing. Use the half an inch at the top here to close it up. So now when I move it over back like this, you see this is what I have at this part here. It's clean like this. So all I have to do is just to go ahead, iron it. Let me turn over this other side too. You see the upper part here, you see what it looks like here. So now all we have to do is to go ahead and cut the sleeve. And like I said before, you see my back panel, the armhole for both the back and the front are the same. You see, exactly the same. So all I have to do now is just to use this same armhole now. I'm going to place it to cut the my sleeve. So the sleeve, what I have as the length here, it depends on you what you want. I don't have enough black fabric either, so I just added this little bit here just so that I can use it to turn over to make my casing inside, right? This here. So the length I have here at the moment is 10 inches. So what I'm going to do is just to take this here, because remember elastic will be at the top, elastic will be at the bottom to make the sleeve. So what I'm going to do here is just to take it here. So the width I have here is my armhole divided by 2 plus extra like 3 inches or so. So I'm going to take this here now and place it at the corner here and cut this out. So guys, what I'm going to do first with my fabric, I've told you the width, so all I have to do is just to fold away the casing for the elastic. Once I fold it away, about 1.5 is what you would need because it's a small elastic. Then you're going to take this the way it is now and place it at the end of it right once here. So just use the same armhole that you have here. So this will definitely work. So just like how I have it here, I'm going to mark it out with a chalk, or just go ahead and cut it directly. So guys, I've marked it now, so all I have to do is to cut it open. This bottom part here, I'm not going to be cutting it, but I'm just going to make a casing also here with 1.5 so that my elastic can pass through here. So all I have to do is just to go ahead and cut this part out. So guys, the next thing is going to be to cut my skirt. So to cut the skirt, it depends on you. If you're stopped at just the top, that's okay, but for me, I'll need a skirt. So it's just a basic pencil skirt. So my waist divided by 4, go ahead, mark that, plus extra 2 inches because of my darting and my seam allowance. 1 inch of dart, 1 inch of seam allowance. So for my dart, nipple to nipple divided by 4 plus half an inch, mark it here, half an inch on this side, half an inch on this side, bring down the center line, give it half an inch on this side like this, and this is going to be my dart. Go ahead and notch that. So as you can see, I'm cutting both the front and the back together. The fabrics are folded into 2. This one is also folded into 2. The one at the back has 1 inch, which is going to be for the zipper allowance, and then after that I'm going to come down by 10 inches, which is my waist to my hip is 10 inches. So come down, and then I'm going to insert the width of this fabric is my hip divided by 4 plus 1, and then the back panel has extra 1 inch, so my hip divided by 4 is at 12. plus 1 is 13, which is exactly the width of this fabric. So I'm going to connect it to the waist, and then coming down to this point, that 13 that I have from here, I'm going to just remove 1 from it. So just to bring make this part here smaller. So remove 1 inch from this part here, and then I'm going to connect it to the hip, just like that. So after this, now I'm going to cut this whole part out and split the open the back, center back. So guys, you see I have 2 pieces for the back now. I've cut out the whole side and then 1 center piece for the front. So all I have to do is pick 2 darts in front and pick 2 darts at the back, join the 2 sides together. So you see, all I have to do is just to join this side to this side here, and then join this other side like this. So I'm going to close it up here, close it up here. This center part is my zipper allowance, and then I'm inserting that here also at the back. So I'm going to set this aside also. So guys, you see I've gone ahead and pulled mine together. So guys, at this point it really depends on me the type of sleeve I want. I could make it a long sleeve, or I could leave it short sleeve, but you see mine is a short sleeve this way. So it depends on you what you want. So now the next thing I have to do is just to go ahead and attach the bottom part here. So I'm going to go ahead and attach a skirt to it. If I did want to add a skirt to it, I could have just used the lining to turn it over and it would be a crop top, and then I'll just go ahead and add a zip at the back, and that's basically it. But for this here, I want it as a dress. So I'm going to go ahead now, take my skirt pattern that I already made, and then I'm going to go ahead and join it to this bottom part here. So, and then it's going to have 1 zip going all the way at the back. So you see it's going to be joined here just like this, and then it has a zipper at the back, room for zipper at the back, and this also has a room for zipper at the back. So I'm going to go ahead now, join the upper part and the bottom together and bring it back. So guys, this is the dress here. You see everything is done. I've added the skirt part, folded the end of my clothes, and then this is the top part. If you don't want this part to be gaping open, another thing you can do is just to hold it down a little with a stitch. That way it will not be popping open. But apart from that, that's basically what it looks like. You see my sleeve, this is the back of my hair. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Guys, please like, share and subscribe. Bye.